we are going to discuss how to work with the shader editor when composing materials in Blender. Besides using the material panel in the properties editor, you can also use shader nodes, which you can access through a special editor called the shader editor. In Blender 4.3, the shader editor has three modes: Object, World, and Line Style. As the name implies, this one is for creating line style, which will be useful if you want to create 2D or cel shading style renderings. This is for controlling the world lighting and or the background color. And this one is the one we need, which is for controlling 3D object materials. So for now, make sure you set the editor to object mode. This is important because otherwise, you won't see any material nodes in the shader editor. Alright, now if we select an object in a 3D viewport, the shader editor will automatically display the shader nodes of its material. If the object has multiple materials, you can switch between them through the material list in the material panel. Essentially, if the material is displayed in the properties editor, the nodes will be displayed in the shader editor. Alternatively, you can also access the material list by clicking on the slot button on top of the shader editor. Now, if you look at the nodes, notice how the default material actually has two nodes: the material output node and the principled BSDF node. Most of the time, you will be using the surface output. You may need to use this volume output later when you want to simulate volumetric objects such as fire, smoke, fog, clouds, and the like. Okay? Now, inside the principled BSDF node, you can find all the parameters that we have discussed before, such as the base color, metallic slider, roughness, IOR, and so on. If you change a value here or a color, for example, the changes reflect automatically in the material panel. Essentially, they are both referring to the same data block. We will discuss how to compose materials later. For now, let's focus on how to navigate the shader editor. The way we navigate the shader editor is practically the same as we navigate the 3D viewport. You can press N to show or hide the side panel. You can scroll the mouse to zoom in and out. To open the view, you can use the shift and middle mouse drag. But because you cannot rotate the view like the 3D viewport, you can use the middle mouse button drag instead to open the editor. So again, rotate the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, and drag the middle mouse button to open the view. One last shortcut, which I think is important, is the home key. Just like in a 3D viewport, the home key will automatically frame the view so that all the nodes are visible. This is important because sometimes when you open a material in a shader editor, nothing is visible. This happens because the editor view was zoomed or panned too far from the nodes. If this ever happens to you, simply press the home key on your keyboard to see all the nodes again. Alright? To move a node, you can simply click drag the header area of the node. Please avoid click dragging on the center area because you might accidentally click on parameters that you don't need. If you have a node selected, which is indicated by a white border, you can also use the G shortcut to move the node around. If you want to move multiple nodes together, you need to select them first. You can hold Shift and then keep clicking on the nodes you want to select. Or you can also select them by click dragging on an empty area to create a selection box. After we have them selected, we can then move them together as if they are a single node. You can duplicate a node by pressing the Shift D shortcut, and to delete a node, you can press X or delete on the keyboard. To create a new node, you can use the Add menu on top, or you can use the Shift A shortcut. As you can see, Blender provides a lot of different nodes that we can use. We will discuss some of these nodes in later lessons. For now, let's create a brightness contrast node. Another way to delete a node is by right-clicking on a node and then choosing Delete. From all of these explanations, I believe you already see the pattern. Basically, most of the object operations in a 3D viewport also work in a shader editor. This is great news, as we will need to switch back and forth between the 3D viewport and shader editor quite often.